Hey, welcome back to another Time Sticking YouTube video. My name's Jake, and today we're going to be exploring the origins of the wristwatch in terms of how it was invented in war times. So, stick with us through our intro, and we're going to break apart how watches started to emerge on the battlefield. Now, believe it or not, war is a subject that comes up quite often when talking about wristwatch invention. After all, watches are pretty personal, just about as personal as, one-on-one combat with another person. Inventive engineers and improvisers alike have sought to make a soldier's attire more mobile and functional in combat for ages. Looking at history through today's lens, it almost seems like a no-brainer that a wristwatch would be far superior in freeing the hands compared to a pocket watch on nearly any battlefield. However, cultural bias has made wristwatches, especially on male soldiers, a slowly to be loved style of timekeeping. Before German and British militaries began jury-rigging and special ordering wristwatches, these wrist-borne timepieces were seen as women's-only accessories. Known as wristlets in the late 19th century, they were seen as a novelty item with less functionality than a pocket watch. This sentiment had persisted since wristwatches were first conceived. Despite this trend in perception, it was war that tipped the scale toward wristwatches gaining popularity with men. Though there are brands like Abraham Louis Breguet and Patek Philippe that boast making the first wristwatch, it was improvised straps during the Second Boer War that ultimately pushed wristwatches to the front lines of timekeeping. With very few wristlets circulating about from 1899 to 1902, the years of the Boer War, or Boer depending on your pronunciation, it was the inventiveness of soldiers that really brought wristwatches to the front lines. The Second Boer War, or Anglo-Boer War for some context, was fought between the British and South African groups trying to end British rule in the region. Two main factions in particular that were fighting for independence were the South African Republic and Orange Free State. British occupants ultimately won the war against these groups, and watches played a particular role. Although South African forces were tenacious in fighting British rule, the Brits had timed and coordinated attacks on their side. Keeping a hands-free approach to following orders in tow, British soldiers soldered metal lugs on their pocket watches to accommodate leather straps, giving their time-fueled edge extra gusto. These men's wristlet watches were written home about and caught the attention of brands like Omega, who made their first wristlet in 1892, and Mappin & Webb, a British company. With later conflicts and apartheid ensuing in South Africa throughout the 20th century, it seems watches were the only true winner of the Second Boer War. With steam being built around men's wristlet-style watches, the wristwatch was starting to gain in popularity, and World War I was another catalyst that really kicked things off. In fact, around the time World War I broke out, not long after the Wright brothers' famous flight, pilots began requesting wrist strap watches to accommodate their needs. Between aviation and military pursuits, the wristwatch gained further acclaim among men, ultimately reinforcing a look and sentiment that exists today. This acclaim, combined with global conflict, began solidifying wristlets as a men's watch necessity both on and off the battlefield. In 1914, Waltham began marketing wristlets toward men, especially those involved or had been involved with military combat. As mentioned, wristwatches were used to enact precisely timed attacks on the Second Boer War by the British. Essentially, the British had a technology that was just as tactical as any best-laid plan. Soldiers could carry out mortal combat with more dexterity. This started a trend across Europe that ultimately made it to US companies like Waltham and others. The wristwatch wasn't just for women anymore. To further reinforce this, by 1916, in the middle of World War I, the New York Times published an article noting the functionality of the men's wristwatch. A trend that had already begun taking hold in other parts of the world gained further steam in the United States. Explosive 20th century wars drew the US into larger European conflicts. As tensions grew and spilled over, air forces and navies worldwide began dispatching more and more soldiers to faraway fronts. With personal timekeeping becoming increasingly accessible and widespread, a wristwatch became the ultimate soldier's accessory, aside from a well-manufactured firearm. The British soldiers of the Second Boer War created a trend that pushed wristwatches into the 20th century, making the men's only club of pocket watches ultimately a thing of the past. Now, we've covered performance watches here at Times Ticking, so do you have any war stories with a wristwatch? Let us know in the comments. And second of all, am I pronouncing it right? Bear War or Bear War? Who knows? Let us know in the comments. Hello, and thanks for watching our YouTube video today. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like, and you can find similar videos right here. For more new and interesting content from Times Ticking on our channel, please subscribe at the link here. And for more information about wristwatch repair and watch maintenance generally, you can find us at timesticking.com. Thanks so much and have a great day.